Today we are looking at the book, 1 Samuel, a powerful story of transition, leadership, and the faithfulness of God, as well as divine calling and the rise of Israel's first kings. This book bridges the time of the judges and the beginning of the monarchy. Let's explore how God worked through ordinary people to fulfill his extraordinary plans. 1 Samuel picks up after the chaotic period of the judges. Israel was in spiritual decline and desperately needed leadership. God raises up Samuel, a prophet and judge, to guide the people. Through its pages, we see that even when people fail, God's purpose still stands. Major figures include Hannah, Samuel, Saul, and David. At the start, the nation has no true leadership and no unity. Every man does what is right in his own eyes. But in the middle of that darkness, God begins his plan of renewal through the prayer of a woman named Hannah. Hannah was barren, mocked, and heartbroken. Yet instead of turning away, she turned to God in prayer. She vowed that if he gave her a son, she would dedicate him entirely to the Lord's service. God heard her cry. Her son Samuel was born, a child of promise, destined to become one of the greatest prophets in Israel's history. As a boy, Samuel served in the temple under the priest Eli, and one night he heard the voice of God calling him by name.
Samuel.
And Samuel replied,
"Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening."
That moment marked the beginning of Samuel's prophetic ministry, a time when God's voice would once again be heard in Israel. Meanwhile, Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were corrupt priests who defiled the offerings and disrespected God's law. Because of their sin, judgment came upon Eli's house. The Ark of the Covenant was captured by the Philistines, and both sons were killed in battle. When news reached Eli, he fell backward and died. The glory of God had departed from Israel. But even in judgment, God was not finished. The loss of the ark wasn't the end, it was a turning point. For when the ark returned, so did the reminder that God's power can't be controlled by man. Years passed, and Samuel led Israel as prophet and judge. But the people grew restless. They wanted a king, someone they could see and follow like the nations around them. It broke Samuel's heart, but God said,
They have not rejected you, Samuel. They have rejected me as their king.
And so, Israel's first king was chosen, Saul from the tribe of Benjamin. He was tall, strong, and outwardly impressive. But as we'll soon see, his heart was not truly surrendered to God. At first, Saul led with courage. He won victories and inspired confidence. But pride and fear began to control him. He disobeyed God's commands, offering sacrifices that weren't his to give, and sparing what God told him to destroy. Samuel confronted him, saying,
To obey is better than sacrifice.
That moment sealed Saul's fate. The kingdom would be taken from him and given to someone after God's own heart. God sent Samuel to the house of Jesse in Bethlehem. There he met a shepherd boy, the youngest of 8 sons, named David. When Samuel anointed him, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. And even though years would pass before David became king, God was already shaping him through faith, humility, and courage. It's here we get one of the most famous stories in all of Scripture, David and Goliath. The Philistines challenged Israel with a giant named Goliath, and every soldier was terrified, except David. Armed only with faith and a sling, he declared,
The battle is the Lord's.
With one stone, he struck down the giant, proving that victory belongs not to the strong, but to those who trust in God. That moment marked the beginning of David's rise, and Saul's jealousy. As David's fame grew, Saul's heart darkened with envy. He tried to kill David multiple times, but David refused to harm Saul, even when he had the chance. He said,
I will not lift my hand against the Lord's anointed.
David's restraint showed that true kingship isn't about power. It's about character and trust in God's timing. In the end, Saul's disobedience led to his downfall. During a battle with the Philistines, wounded and surrounded, Saul took his own life. The once promising king died in despair, far from the peace of God. But even in tragedy, God's plan moved forward, preparing the way for David, the man after his own heart. The book of 1 Samuel reminds us of 3 timeless truths. 1. God hears the cries of his people. Just as he heard Hannah, he still hears you. 2. Obedience matters more than appearances. Saul looked like a king, but David's heart made him one. 3. God's purpose prevails, even through human weakness. When life feels uncertain, remember, God doesn't look at what others see. He looks at the heart. If you found peace and insight in this study, be sure to subscribe and join me next time as we continue through the story of 2 Samuel, the rise of David. Until then, may God's peace be with you always. Please put comments and requests below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video.